That Day We Sang is a play with songs and dancing and insurance men. It's about the 1929 record of Nymphs and Shepherds, which was recorded in the Free Trade Hall by the Manchester School Children's Choir. It's a very iconic record. It's sold 1 million copies over the years, and it's stayed popular all that time. It's about the making of that record, and it's about the two people in that choir 40 years later when they meet again at a reunion. Tubby is an insurance man, Enid, who's a secretary. And Tubby has not heard the record for 40 years. And he's being filmed by a film crew, and they put headphones on him and they play him the record, and he starts to cry. And that's the start of his sort of emotional... He goes on an emotional journey then, and that's triggered by hearing the music. There's something about the music that he hasn't heard. He's lived with his mother, who doesn't like music, and she's only just died. And when she dies, he's able to listen to music, and it's able to propel him onto the next stage of his life. And because they're just 50, they feel they've got time to make a change and have a different sort of life. Well, I'd always liked the record of Nymphs and Shepherds, and in sometime in about the 70s, I saw a television documentary which was about the people who'd been in that choir, people who still lived in Manchester, people who were now middle-aged. And I thought how interesting the way they were talking about the day that they sang and what an important day it had been to them. And then when I actually saw that documentary, when the festival found it for me, it was nothing like I'd remembered. I'd invented a whole documentary in my head and invented all the things that these people had said that they'd never said, but emotionally, I've stayed true to that first idea that people can have a day in their lives that's very important, and if they can reconnect with that day, if they can reconnect with the people that they were then they can suddenly revive their emotions. That's what it's about. It's about the power of music to revive your love of life, and hopefully it's funny. I'm hoping. They will see a big play. It's almost a musical. It's not quite a musical. We also reconstruct the events of the day of the Free Trade Hall when the children came in to make the record. And they were very intimidated by the atmosphere and the conductor and the Halley Orchestra, and they were unable to sing. The first 3 times they tried to sing the song, they couldn't really do it properly. So that's one story that's running right through the play. So I've got a big choir on stage, new choir has been formed especially by the festival. And we've also got this love story set in 1969, which is Tubby and Enid played against a background of the Wimpy, the Golden Egg, Piccadilly Gardens. It's a very Mancunian story. I've met one of the choirs. The choirs are taken from 4 schools. I've met one school. I've met one bunch of boys when I was choosing a couple of little acting roles. I have not seen the whole bang shoot of them put together. I can't wait for that. And unfortunately, we never have 100 on stage at the same time. We have 2 lots of 50 because they have to do half the shows each. But, you know, I think that day when we get our choir, the Halley Youth Orchestra, our cast, our conductor, the pretend conductor, our choir mistress, the pretend choir mistress, all on stage, Lord help us with the following wind. It should be fantastic. Well, I tell you now, they've told me they don't like singing Nymphs and Shepherds. I say, well, shut up. That's show business. Get over it. But I think by the time they come to do it, when they're in their costumes, when they're dressed as little 1929 children, I think they'll feel differently.